Check 1 2, check 1 2.
Check 1 2, check
1 2. Okay then. What do you guys think? Like the new voice? Been working on it, you know. Really good at this stuff.
All right, guys, on the reel, welcome on in. My name's Sledge215. We're going to be going over a review of the GOXLR made by Helicon today. So I've jumped into about 2 to 3 months of using this piece of equipment, and I want to write a solid review with an unbiased opinion. I was not sponsored. I was not paid to do this. I'm not anywhere close to large enough, I don't believe. So today, guys, we're gonna go over some of the pros and the cons of this GOXLR. I'm probably gonna mess that up saying that. GOXLR. I gotta nail that. I used to trip on it, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, guys, first and foremost, I have been streaming for about 2.5 years now. This is not the first thing that I picked up. I would not suggest this to be the first thing that you guys pick up, but once you get more involved and you think that you're ready to get a better mic, and you want this for all of its abilities, that's when you're gonna wanna jump into it. But the number one thing that I think kind of like the best about this is how user-friendly it is in comparison to your general soundboards. I have not used a general soundboard, and I don't even know where I would start. The user interface on this thing is super smooth, and it's fully customizable. So everything down to like what you want these sliders to do is on this board, and you can set the mutes to go in different channels. So maybe your stream hears one end and you hear another end, and that's really awesome. Not only that, the whole entire thing, I know people love color schemes. I'm personally not like the biggest diehard, oh, I need it to be a certain color, although we did do green for this for obvious reasons. But like, for me, it's not that big of a deal, but I think for a lot of people, especially with their branding, it's just another thing to add to your setup if you have an angle that can show this. I do not have one of those on my stream. It's like the corner of it, I think, is the only thing that shows. There's some other things too that make it easier to recognize. I'll have a video that goes over all this stuff, but basically on the top panel of your sliders that show icons that you can customize as well. I have not done that. I kept the standard ones on there, which you will see, but I've seen some people that put like iTunes logos or Spotify that represents their music end. So it's kind of easier to be like, that's the one. I just gotten used to where they are. There's only 4 slots. It's not that overwhelming. One of the cool things about it is the mechanical slider. You don't manually need to move your finger up and down the slider. You can, you're given the choice if you just need to go up or down a tick with your volume, but there's also buttons that you can press to mute, and the entire slider will go right down on it, which I think is really cool. It's a really nice feature, and I think it's probably what we'll talk about later in regards to maybe why the price is so high. So that's part of it, but it is really cool. It is really handy, especially when you're starting off your stream and you're muted, and then you want to hit that button without having to hit the slider. Another cool thing about it is this mute to channel, which I did bring up a smidge earlier here. So an example of that, I'm just going to give one, and then you guys can kind of let your imagination run wild. So when I play ranked games in R6, or if I'm playing some serious Fortnite arenas and I'm trying to focus on the game, but my chat wants music, the song request will be playing in the background, and I, as easily as pressing one button, can press it on my end, and it will mute my channel and not theirs. So they're still gonna get the music, I just won't hear it. So it's really cool. So if you need to hone in, focus on game sound without taking away from the content of your stream because there's music playing, or, you know, even alerts you can set up so it doesn't go off while you're in competitive modes. I think that's extremely handy. And there's other options too. You can press it so your people in your Discord can't hear you if you're in a voice chat with them, or maybe you can only hear something but your chat can't. So it's really cool. It's fully customizable, and I think that's a massive pro for the GOXLR. All right, guys, the second pro is the app is user-friendly. It comes with an app that's native to the piece of equipment, which I think is super handy. There's so many out there that like, here's your equipment, and then you're like, where's the app? Or does the app even work that well? So basically, this is super friendly. You can kind of just go through, explore. At first, it seems overwhelming, but after you kind of get things slotted in and you get it all plugged in, it's not as bad as it looks. It's kind of all over the place, but I've heard they're going to be having some updates to some of the things and making a slider available on one portion, which is going to be really cool. So there's multiple presets you can set up. I'm not even sure how many you can set up. I only use one, but I might in the future set up for different things. Like if I'm using, you know, the Nintendo Switch, for example, and I need the audio set to a certain level so my chat can hear it at a certain level and it's not like super quiet or something, because I know that the game sound on an Elgato can run a little bit different from your normal games on your system. With the allowance of all these presets, guys, you're gonna have multiple areas that you can customize per each one. So if you maybe have a different audio setting and audio volumes for your YouTube versus your Twitch, I almost said Switch, your Twitch, then you can just press that as, you know, easy as clicking one button on this app software, and it'll move it all over. Your sliders will mechanically move to their spots, which is super handy, and kind of going back to the mechanical slider end is why it is useful in some way. I think the coolest thing about the app is it does show, it's very similar to like actually the Stream Deck. So the app shows your actual board on the screen, and basically when you adjust buttons and when you press them, they light up, or, you know, they basically move in the action that you give it. So if you're moving the slider up and down, the literal digital slider will go up and down on the image. But yeah, it's really, really cool. It's super interactive, and it kind of helps you understand like, hey, I need to work on the sliders. Can I just click on them? You click on them and it'll literally say, okay, now what do you want to do with this slider? And I think that's really cool. It's really handy. You don't have to click like a tab and be like, slider 1, I want to do this. Slider 2, I want to do this. You can just literally click on the image and it will allow you to edit that portion. And I think that's really cool, and I think that's really creative. Another cool pro is this sampler, guys. So I haven't really even explored too much about it. I know 2 things about it. One, you can do live recordings of it, which I think is really cool. So you can basically just hold down the button, record what you want to say, and then when you press it again, it will play what you recorded with your voice. And then what's cool about it is also, which we're going to talk about a little bit, is the voice changer, and we sampled it earlier. You can use that on those recordings too. So like, you can make it sound a little bit dorky or really, really tough with a deep voice, and then have that set as a sample, and you can spam that whenever throughout your stream. And I kind of mess with this stuff here and there. I don't really have a lot of them that I mess with, but we do have fun with it here and there, and the sample board is fun, and you can get pretty creative with it. The other thing as well is like, you can go online, pick up an audio sample, drop it in, edit it to however you want it to be, and then use that as a sample as well. So it's not just like only your voice. If you want something from, you know, a classic movie that you want spammed, you can do that as well. The only thing that I'm going to point out, quick con about it, is like, I think you can do all that stuff on your Stream Deck too. It's just the editing software on a Stream Deck isn't as nice and smooth as the GOXLR and Helicon have provided. Another huge pro is basically this mic, for example, this Shure SM7B. Basically, it's got to have a piece that goes with it that basically powers it. And with the GOXLR, you don't need to get that extra unit. So with a general soundboard, you'd have to get this. You'd have to get this piece. Can you guys hear my stomach growling right now? You'd have to get this piece, and then you have to connect to the soundboard, and you're gonna have an extra piece that's just on your desk or mounted somewhere, and then an extra wire running out. Whereas this, you just literally run it and route it into the back of the GOXLR. There's a plug-in right for it, and it's good to go. So it registered right away when I plugged it in, which is super handy, especially for someone that's really not good with audio. I'm not a good audio guy. I'm probably more on the visual end for sure. Sound stuff, it goes right over my head. So this was super handy to have that and not have to worry about buying another piece of equipment and hoping that it would work. One other pro that I want to just briefly touch on is the ability to connect and route this with a stream PC setup, and then having your game PC setup. So dual PC setups apparently are extremely easy with this, and they actually built this around understanding how that's all routed with your audio. Now, I'm not sure, I don't have that set up yet. We actually have one in the works, a stream PC. All the parts have not been in yet, so I haven't been able to build it or connect it yet, but I'll probably make a video on that and talk about that specifically, or maybe we'll make a review on just the stream PC and the dual PC setup thing and include the GOXLR in that. All right, guys, now let's move into the cons. This is some of the stuff that, like, if you are a person that can figure things out and you're adaptive, this isn't going to be a problem. And if you have patience, you'll be absolutely fine. But there are some things that I want to point out that are cons and things to expect when picking one of these things up. Now, I believe this is the first of its kind that Helicon made. They have a mini version, which we'll talk about shortly here. But basically, this is kind of like their beta trial. I feel like they're going to have better versions that come out in the future. But one of the biggest problems is with Windows 10, and I believe it's a Windows 10 issue, there's a lot of audio drop issues that I've been having on startup. You know, Windows 10 will have an update, and then I'll go to hit live, and I'm not kidding you, my voice isn't there. Like, I can't hear myself, which it has playback, and I can't hear myself, and I don't know what's going on. I go to the settings, I try to figure it out, and there's a few quick fixes that pretty much everyone's figured out, and it just automatically does it for some reason. And it's really, really inconvenient because it's like, GOXLR made an awesome app for this, and it's not able to work 100% because of Windows 10 and how they jive together. So one thing that I hope for in the future is like GOXLR's app has more frequent updates, because I've only had one in the last few months, that maybe it can help navigate and fix these issues. So when Windows 10 has, you know, their updates, GOXLR has their updates. So then they collab and they work fluently, and then there's less problems for the user. And another thing on top of that with some of the confusion is like, when you have all your channels routed, you know, you have one of your sliders, you know, set to Discord, another one set to music. Every now and then, I don't know why this happens, but it moves around the channels, and then it drops things. So I'll hit a slider, like everything seems like it's working, and then someone's like, hey, can you turn the music up? I turn the music up and the music doesn't turn up. And I'm like, what the heck? And I go into settings and it moved into a completely separate channel. Not entirely sure why that is, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just kind of an easy click drag and then it's fixed. One of the biggest things that I'm finding that kind of can be frustrating, especially if you're about to start a stream and you find issues, is the customer support for Helicon is not the greatest. This is no knock on the customer service itself. It's actually awesome. The people that help you out are extremely helpful. The last one that I had, the guy went into a Discord call with me and helped me out, and he was super patient. And the crazy thing is, to my awareness, they're like all volunteers. There's maybe one person that's actually working with Helicon to give you customer support. And this is all managed through a Discord community, and you just kind of have to wait in line. And it's really, really unfortunate because you go through the Discord and you want your answer like that, and you wish you could just pick up the phone and call someone, or, you know, have a live chat room where there's someone always available, or within, you know, a general time window. And this isn't the case with this. You have to kind of just plug in your, hey, this is my issue, and hope someone answers you. And then if it's in depth enough and they can't help you through text, then they'll do the call with you and they'll get it figured out. So, and they've had the ability to actually take control of my computer and move things around and get things back to where they need to be. So A+ for the support. It's kind of like, unfortunately, just like the way that you access it, it's kind of a little bit wonky. All right, guys, moving on to the next thing, the setup, guys. I said it was very plug and play to a degree with your mic, but it's not plug and play where you put this mic connected to the GOXLR into the computer and then hit live. Like, it doesn't work like that. So you basically have to get everything systematically lined up in your audio settings, 1, and then 2, in a secondary app. Unfortunately, this seems to be the only way that I figured out to make it work, and it's through an app called Air Trumpet. I'll kind of share a little overlay of that just so you can understand how it's laid out. It's really confusing and overwhelming when you first start off, but it's not that bad once you get used to it. So that, unfortunately, is something that I kind of deem as a con, because you just hope that, hey, the native app that comes with GOXLR is going to get all the work done. But unfortunately, you need another thing because of Windows 10 and the way that they set it up, that it pushes different audio channels to become like the default one, where you need it to be one that's specified for this piece of equipment. And it kind of gets confusing, and it's kind of tough for me to explain it without doing a full tutorial video, but I'm unfortunately not tech support for this, but we're just doing a quick review. And that's something that bumped into that was kind of like, oh man, like another thing that I've got to worry about working, coinciding with 1 GOXLR and 2 Windows 10 now. And another thing, in terms of starting up, I should probably just clump these together, but one of the things with the routing, just to start off, is kind of hectic. Like, there's multiple areas with like check marks on this weird grid that basically says like, this is your audio for your music, this is your audio for your voice, this is your audio for your Discord, and like, where do you want things to be heard, and like, where do you want things to overlap? And it's like these check boxes, and they have the default set in, but I know I had to have a guy come in and actually check and visually see like, hey, can you move this one over there? And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Like, what am I even doing? It worked, but you wish that it was like more self-explanatory, so the general user could be like, oh, I know how to do this. Like, that makes sense. Let's click this and it works. But so that's kind of like another negative that kind of goes clumped in with the plug and play aspect. It's kind of one of those early setups before you can actually have a lot of fun with this. And then the other portion that's kind of frustrating about the application, I hope there's an update for this because it seems very straightforward. So like, I'll record a voice sample on this thing, right? And we're just messing around on stream, and I'll hold it down and then we'll edit it and stuff. And then the problem comes where I go live the next time and it's not saved because I forgot to literally go into the app and click save on the preset. So I thought when I first started, you just need to save your presets for like your sliders and stuff, but like, it's everything. It's like when you change your voice to a certain emulator, you've got to save the preset again, so it overrides the prior one. So when you start up your computer the next time, it's good to go and it remembers that stuff. Otherwise, it just deletes it when you turn your computer off. So that's the unfortunate part of it with the app again. Last but not least, guys, it's not like a big deal, but it can be, especially if you're a small streamer that's like, whoa, that's really cool, I want one. The biggest part is the price. And I would say this is not something for your small streamers to pick up right away, and I'm gonna give you reasons as to why. First off, it's $400, guys. It's one piece of equipment, and it's just the soundboard. I think that when people say, oh, it's $400, they say, oh, that's not that bad. But most people need to upgrade their mic as well. So, not in every case. You might already have the mic that's already set up. But this mic cost me $400. Soundboard was $400. Got a new arm just because the other one was falling apart. That was $100. This was a $900 investment for me to get this thing put together. And I'll be completely honest with you. You hear from other people. Harris Heller is one of the people from Alpha Gaming, and he's mentioned it. If you can get your mics to line up perfectly, you don't even need to worry about upgrading to a better, more pricey microphone. Because when I was like, yo, does my voice sound different? People just said, it just sounds more radio broadcasting. It doesn't really sound better. So don't think this is like, get the soundboard, get a better mic. It's like, unfortunately, when you get the soundboard, you just kind of need a better mic, a more pricey one, just because it needs to fit into the soundboard. I mean, I think it actually has a USB port in the back, but I mean, I could just check. I take it back. It doesn't take USB. So there, exactly. So basically, I've suggested in the past, like getting the Blue Yetis and the AT2020s from Audio-Technica. They can't even plug into this. You could probably get an adapter some way, but they don't even plug into it. So you gotta like consider these things before you make the purchase of a $400 piece of equipment, especially just starting off. But the good news is, and if I could have it any other way and I could do this over, and I might do this in the future just for the hell of it, they made a cheaper version for $250, and it's just the slider half. So if you just want the sliders and you don't want the sampler and the voice changer, then this is the one for you. It's $250, same functions, and it allows you to allocate your sound levels where you need them to be, do the whole entire mute deal if you're playing ranked games. And I think personally, it's the best choice, especially if you're a small streamer that doesn't need all that funsy stuff on the side, especially when you have a Stream Deck. If you have a Stream Deck too and you have audio samples on there, you can just spam it via that. So it's the same exact thing. It's just all on one HUD. But that's just my thoughts on it. And, you know, if you're a small streamer, I would 100% suggest a $250 version. That's what I would have went with if I had it any other way, to be completely honest with you. But we needed to check out everything, and now I can write a full review on it. This is actually like the first equipment review, so please actually let me know in the comments what I did good, what I did bad, because I really want to do more of these in the future with some of the other stuff, and we're going to be getting some lighting in the background that I want to do a review on as well. And I just don't want it to be super lengthy, super long-winded, and here I am going on a rant, so we'll just end it there. Guys, anyways, I hope the content was helpful. I hope that it helps you guys with your decisions to make a purchase on this, or you guys let me know if you guys had different pros or cons if you do already own this. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell if you guys want notifications for when my next videos are dropped, and as always, take it easy, have a good one, enjoy your streams.